say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's part. Bright light, city life, I gotta make it, this is where it goes down. I just happen to come up hard. Legal or illegal, baby, I gotta make
I never took a straight path nowhere.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Power After Hours, your favorite power podcast. Back in the building once again for Season 5. And we are here to review Season 5, Episode 1, Everyone is Implicated. I'm your host, Jeff J. Joining us today are two very special guests to our show. And let me introduce them to you. First off, my man, the CEO, the chief editor, the HNIC of the 718 podcast, my man, Shawn Hardie. Shawn, what's going on?
Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's been a lifelong dream of mine to be on one of your podcasts. It only took me 30 years, but, you know, I made it. So shout out to everybody. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to discussing power with you.
Well, to be fair, I haven't podcasted in probably like a year. so you are on time. And joining us is the man of a million burner accounts, Brian Colangelo, don't got. It's on him, my man, cousin Zane. Zane, what it is?
Man, I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to the conversation. You know, I don't want this Brian Colangelo thing to hang on me too long, but all the burner accounts are necessary for how things are running. So we're going to shut them down soon. But it's a good segue into, I think, how the season's going to run. A lot of burner situations, a lot of random activities we're going to talk about. I like to call this show Surgical Summer now, just for how things look to be running. So I'm happy to have the conversation. Should be a good one.
See, when a man has a burner accounts, that's a lot of money talk. That's a lot of extra zeros coming out of his mouth right now. So yeah, just so that y'all are clear on what we're dealing with here on Power After Hours. And as always, my co-host, Chrissy Bree, she's still in the building, but she's on assignment this week, and y'all can troll her at her on her Twitter at Chrissy. Episodes miss, she gonna miss the first one. I mean, come on, Chrissy. And by the time she listens to this, I'll be in trouble anyway, so it'll be a little bit wise. So I'm gonna get all these jokes in while I can. But let us get to the season premiere, season 5 premiere of Power. It's funny when you look at this show, right? Season 4 and season 5 between them has only been like about 3 months. Because season 4 started right after season 3. And season 5 is literally like 2 or 3 days after what happened at the end of season 4. So within the span of from the end of season 3 to the beginning of season 5, I think at most it's been 4 months. So just in terms of time continuity and all of that, just for, you know, if you care about that. So just get, first of all, from you, Shawn, what did you think overall of this episode?
Honestly, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 5.5. And I may be a little harsh, but, you know, I just think that this show, and full disclosure, I started binging it last year, so I've watched like the first 3 seasons, and then I picked up on season 4 live, and then obviously season 5 now. It's just that I always felt like things have kind of been unraveling a little bit with Power, and I think in this episode you kind of saw it unraveling. Like for example, I've never really seen Ghost and Tasha grieve for the loss of their daughter. I think the most you've seen it is when you have Ghost crying in the shower, look like a Mary Winans video. But
like we needed to see all of those extra abs in the video. That's what I wanted to call the I Am Legend moment. That's the gratuitous body scene where it's like, all right, I know this dude is going through something, but we had to get the model, the Jet magazine, the Playboy, Playgirl shot pose. For those of you who see the first Purge, there's a scene with Ilan Noel where he alluded to it. It's, if you watch the episode or watch the movie, you'll see another example of gratuitous body shots just for the sake of. So that's what Shawn is talking about. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. But I didn't really see, since the end of last season, and so the end of season 4, the beginning of season 5, I thought I would see more grieving. And I just expected, like, you know, you lost your daughter. Like, you lost a child. And as a father myself, I can't imagine losing a child. And it seems like, it just seems as if, like, it's like, well, Ghost is worrying about trying to kill people, but Tasha's just like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because she's worried about Tariq and that she's dealing with whole lots of things. And maybe she hasn't really had the time to grieve. Like, you haven't, maybe it's stereotypical for me to expect to see just Tasha just bawling out of her eyes out. But that's just one thing. And then obviously there are a couple holes, you know, and I don't want to nitpick. And I use that word on purpose. You know, just certain things that just didn't really make sense to me. You know,
that's very inside baseball with nitpick, because our group me, our power group me, prides itself on worrying about Tasha's nail color and how it equates to the themes of the season, as opposed to overall. So we can go with it, but sure, definitely hold that point, because I want to get Zane. Give me some initial thoughts that you had about this episode.
You know, I think the obvious thing that you needed to do is go after the person who you thought killed your child. And so that revenge piece, to me, walking in, I expected that. And we did that, and we got it out the way, and now I want to see where we go from here, because that was unsuccessful. So that I walked in thinking that. Maybe two or three other things that jumped out to me. You know, understanding, you know, maybe a little what Shawn said. How does Tasha try to hold this thing together? She's kind of been the rock or the backbone for all these moving pieces. Even with Angela, right? I think you see some scenes where she talks about you know, how the dynamic that Angela has and what she knows and how she kind of uses Angela as well. So the Tasha dynamic is always interesting to me, and how she, you know, what emotions she exhibits and how she uses those emotions. And then the other piece, which I wanted to see how it would happen, is how do you use Tommy and Kanan appropriately, right? They're two different kinds, clearly people, but they bring different things to the table. So when I see this show, when I look at the show now, I'm saying, all right, how are you going to use those two folks and kind of have the triumph of a group now going after one enemy? So now, and the obvious thing, you know, is Tariq, right, and kind of what he did and his actions, and kind of, you know, dipping out on a eulogy to let Dre know what's happening. You know, that is unfathomable, right? That's something that you didn't expect, didn't see. Good plot twist. And what'd you think overall?
What'd you think overall? Like, just overall thoughts of the episode. Did you like it? Did you dislike it?
Yeah. I said, I walked in knowing they're going to have to do some level of revenge, right? So I expected that. You know, there's some loose ends that, you know, you're going to get tied in. You know, as we probably go through the first 3-4 seasons. Episodes. So overall, fine, maybe 6-7 out of 10 to Shawn's point. What I always say about Power, there's always a plot twist, right? You know, 5-6 episodes in, they're gonna give you the obvious and kind of twist it. So that's where my mind is. What's that? You know, 6th or 7th episode where they're gonna give you the plot twist, and then we're gonna go a different direction. But overall, yeah, I think it's 6 or 7 out of 10.
So it's interesting to me to hear, like, Shawn, you kind of so on the episode, and I'm saying, I think for the most part, you know, if we were New York City, a public high school, we're definitely passing that class. But with Zane's score, we're definitely in the past. We're going to the next grade with Zane's score. But Shawn, we might have to go to summer school. We might have to do that extra class.
Strong 65.
Strong 65. Oh, is it strong 65?
Yeah.
Because, you know, some counties it's 70. That's when it gets spooky. But
when I went to school, it was a strong 65. So 65. So it passed. It passed.
So here's the thing that I thought, right? And I will say this: viewing experience is such a major factor on how you rate shows. I saw it at the premiere with like 1,000 other people in Radio City, with the cast there, with everybody there, and just having that energy of other people who are fans watching the show, laughing at the stuff that we laugh about when we're watching it alone, the little comedic parts and stuff like that isn't really supposed to be funny, but the joy is funny. And just with that energy watching, you know, when I was paying attention enough, and I was going to watch it again anyway. And, you know, shout out to LeBron for throwing off my entire season my recap. I'm trying to write my recap. I'm trying to watch again to catch points. And this is when the dude, there should be something illegal about announcing the biggest free agency move in the last 4 years during Power, bro. Yeah, and I get it. He probably felt everybody already saw it because it came out on midnight. So I get it. He was like, if you didn't see it on midnight, we letting that go.
He probably saw it already, so he didn't worry about it.
Right.
He already saw it, so he's good. He's like, all right, my Sunday's done. Let me go push this out and then kind of keep my family goals and go on vacation. I think he's in Italy right now. What I saw. So yeah, he don't care about us.
He should have spoiled the episode in the release. He might as well have, like, when everybody was watching it. He should have spoiled it in the release. But I would say, even coming from, and I'll be the first to admit, the last season was probably the worst season of Power, and it was very so-so. Like, it had as many highs as many lows. But I think coming off of that season, this was a strong episode. Like, we shout out to the 718 podcast. I remember you guys did the Power preview, and there were a lot of questions that we had going into it. And for some of those questions, they were answered, and others are going to be answered as the season comes off. So first, the whole aura around Angela. Angela, first off, why are you at a crime scene and you're an ASA? You're doing forensics work. You're not supposed to. That's not within your purview, right? So how is she going to factor into this whole situation with Tariq shooting Raymond Jones? Her finding the bullet, that gun being registered by the NYPD, and how we didn't really know how we thought she was good, but the fact that they introduced Blanca Rodriguez, the internal affairs, and us being from New York City and hearing that there's internal affairs going on, that just really triggered me in terms of knowing, like, Angela got problems on her hands, right?
Absolutely. When the IEB show up, it's no good.
Bruh.
It's no good.
The fact that she was able to, and she's going to be somebody to watch because she's already putting the pieces together that Angela's more than she's seen. She went to go talk to Destiny, Jones's cousin, and found Angela's card. She went to Angela's office, pressed her out about how was she at the scene, but they didn't put her down in the log, when she already knew the answer. She's like your parents when they ask you something and you're like, I did some foul shit, but why are you asking me about this? You must know. But when we're stupid, we're kids. We're like, we're going to die with the lie until you can present hardcore evidence. We're dying with the lie, right? But she's put herself in the position now where she is as complicit as everybody else. Even though she was on the fence about whether or not she was going to tamper with the evidence and delete Tasha's federal record out of the system so that they the two. She still is in a position to be strongly implicated because even her colleagues don't trust her right now. So she has reverted back to like square one. What do you think?
You know what? When it comes to Angela, and when I watch Angela, I think to myself, what's the end game? As in, how is she going to get out of this? Right. For the past couple seasons, she's always managed to get herself in some shit and then get herself out of it. Especially, last year, she snitched on her entire unit, and that's what basically got her out of everything because she had a trump card. She had the big joker.
Right.
But like this, I'm just watching this and I'm thinking like between, going to being a federal prosecutor at a crime scene for a dead police officer, then lying to Blanca, and you have to think if IAB's asking you questions, they probably have an idea about something. And then logging into under, I was going to say Black Donovan, but it's not. But logging to her.
We got to know who is that person. That seems to be a new character.
Games, I'm sure we'll find out this season. Yeah. But
a new character introduced.
And now you're logging in to someone's account on your computer, mind you, not like that can't be traced back to you. Logging in to delete the records of Tasha's personal firearm registered in the evidence database, and the reason you're doing that is because, oh yeah, Tasha told you that Tariq killed Raymond Jones. So I'm just there thinking, how is she going to get out of this now? Because at some point you run out of trump cards to play.
Well, that's the plot twist to me, Shawn, right? And so that's the episode 6 or 5 where something happens to her, and then we get the plot twist and we go left, right? Because I'm with you, and I think, the IAD young lady comes unannounced, right? Just kind of walks in her office, starts asking questions. So and she's putting pieces together. At this point, doesn't appear Angela knows those pieces are being put together. But, she put herself in this position, right? There's an emotional connection with those kids and protecting Tariq, and clearly with Ghost, and then, as you said, she's kind of put herself in the mix, right? Hasn't gotten herself out of it. So it's that to me is the twist. And now look, bringing IED into the mix, in the first episode makes you think that there were some other things maybe going on in the background with folks that are dead, or maybe some other things that are swirling. So I think we're going to get a lot that comes out of that plot line, that storyline that says, hey, these are some, things we weren't aware about, or investigations that are happening. And I think even you saw, as you mentioned, Jeff, her boss, right, doesn't basically said, hey, we don't want to have this new witness, which, season 1, she saw or heard something on TV, and maybe heard a voice, I think it was, and saw a ghost on TV, and now
the throwback from the pilot. The pilot
episode.
Yeah,
exactly.
She saw him on TV, but she heard the voice.
Exactly, right.
And that triggered back to season 1, episode 1.
And they want Angela to cross-examine her, right, and see how qualified she was. And now it's like, hey, you know what? Let's not even have her get connected to this young lady or even be aware of it, right? So you still have those internal dynamics as well. One thing, and maybe going off target a little bit, Jeff, I wonder how this Proctor piece is going to happen. It's a small storyline to me, but clearly Proctor and Angela have a connection, right, and have some commonality and some level of, I'll say, relationship, which is probably a wrong word, but I think there's a little small piece in that storyline too that's going to pop up. There's a reason why Angela went over to his place, right, and try to talk to him. So you bring her up.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be.
We'll get to that later. We're jumping ahead, but that's just my point.
Well, we not super linear. We can go around, but I just want to say Proctor real quick when we talk about the hit that wasn't. so just staying on this whole how Tasha and Angela are starting off their dynamic. There's a lot of, and this is why I wanted Chrissy. I'm gonna have to get Chrissy's perspective on this because I don't want it to be all mansplaining hour here on but Tasha and Angela, there were stones being hurled at glass houses, boy. Like with their whole their debate about whether or not how it was going to happen, because Angela was indignant because she felt Tasha, which was halfway true, that Tasha used the info that she gave her to find Raymond Jones and kill. But Tasha had to let him know eventually it was Tariq. It wasn't them. Like they needed the info because they wanted to find Tariq, because Tariq was the one who was going to kill him. So she's mad at her and talking about, I gotta turn you in, then I gotta testify. Like this is the only way, I gotta do the whole thing. And I thought it was ill on her part to say that when she's been implicated in this the minute she knew Jamie was Ghost and didn't say anything.
Basically,
the minute she knew, she was already implicated. Like she was already in the game. It's like now if you get out, everybody can take you with them. And the fact that Tasha was like, she basically said Angela broke up their happy home, and the fact that she gave Ghost back doesn't end her debt, that she still has a debt. It goes back to the whole situation where the aggrieved, cheated on person blames the third party instead of the first party. You know what I'm saying? Like
Jeff, I've been saying that Go ahead. We can get the mansplaining label by Chrissy next week. I'm with you.
I feel like that's
100%.
what I feel like that's what people will say. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think Tasha was using chess to try to tell her, like, yo, you broke up my home, you owe this to me, and I know you love Ghost still. Like, that was psychology. But if she was dead ass, like, nah. You blaming Angela, but this man Ghost had 15 lives. And you blaming her for breaking up your home. Your home was broken by Ghost. So I think it was just funny that they were just trying to one up each other with using facts, but not bringing context into it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's the guilt trip, right, Jeff? Like, she had to give her a guilt trip to get her to do what she needed her to do, right? Tasha needed Angela to get that ballistic report and all that stuff out of the system, right? Expunge that or delete it, whatever the case may be. So that needed to happen. So I can see her using those data points as the guilt trip to make her feel a certain way. And to your point, Angela's pushing back, saying, "Hey, this puts me in a whole different world than I'm already in." Right? I feel like this puts Angela in a different sphere
Right.
of illegality, right? And being on the wrong side of the law here. So yeah, I'm with you, but end of the day, this is what the Tasha dynamic is so unique to me, right? Because she's the one in my mind that is making these shots, right, or making these calls. And I think there's maybe in the preview there's something that says, hey, I think there's a Tasha and Ghost part where Tasha said, you made the decision without me, and Ghost says something defective. I make all these calls without you, or something like that, right? I could be paraphrasing that wrong, but the Tasha and Ghost dynamic, they've always been together. And they've always kind of been side by side. And how does that play itself out? You already see Tasha concerned that Kanan is around, right?
Right.
And even at the funeral, kind of like, why is this guy here? And I think there's another piece. So, there's some dynamics here that I think are going to be interesting. But yeah, how is she using Angela, who to me mentally is still a little weak here, right? And emotionally still a little weak here. And walking on eggshells on all paths, right? She doesn't really know what the hell to do at all, right? So she's just kind of getting used and abused. I think Tasha knows that as well, using that to her advantage.
Right. So let's jump into the unholy trinity between Kanan, Tommy, and Ghost, right?
Oh, this is I got issues with this.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I was trying to figure out what your issues, because so far I was like, all right, he's feeling this, he's feeling that, but so here's the dynamic. This dynamic is so conflicted, and I can understand why people may have issues here and there with the coherence of it. But then, I think we all have friendships where it may not make sense from the outside looking in when certain stuff happens. But then, this is the biggest alliance of convenience I think I've seen on TV in a minute. So you could see it even after everything that's happened. Kanan's trying to go in them with the spot. And then they were like, nah, you could, like, how do we know we could trust you? Kanan says, you're the one who set me on fire. I was like, yo, he's not wrong.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like, you got a point there.
I mean, those are facts. You can't argue the facts.
Big facts. And
big, heavy facts.
Everybody in that, and it's almost as if they're on an even playing field, right? Everybody in that room has a reason to kill everybody else. But they all have a bigger reason to kill Dre.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right. That's exactly what it is. Because you think about Kanan. Kanan still has his feud with Tommy and Ghost because they sent him to jail. Like, that's really the never forget for him, right? Mm-hmm. They sent him to jail. And then Ghost already tried to burn him. Like, I think Dre had said Kanan is Superman, and Superman was psychotic and was burnt to a crisp and came back. Right? Like, that's exactly what he is. He's like Bizarro right now. Kanan and Ghost. Like, Ghost tried to burn Kanan. Then with Ghost, Kanan basically put Tariq on the path that killed Raina. Kanan's plan to flip Tariq and kill Ghost and Tariq. Well, really,
thank you.
He is the reason why Raina is dead. Like, he is the root cause. Like, if you go back, he's the root cause. Is that what your issue is, Shawn?
Yes. Kanan is indirectly responsible for Raina's death. And
so, go ahead.
And with that, I mean, I understand that. See, it's not that they are working, that Kanan, Tommy, and Ghost are working together. It's because they all have a common cause. They all want Dre dead. And like I said earlier, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
It's they're in the car telling the stories about remember back in the day when Tommy did this and they're laughing, yada yada. I'm like, no. It's like I wouldn't be that buddy with somebody. Like at one minute you're like, yo, how can I trust you? The next minute is like, remember that time Tommy brought that albino boy in the hood? Ha 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 ha. It's like, nah, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This can't work. And then what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that Kanan is going to flip on them or double cross them, or as soon as he doesn't need them, and then Ghost is going to act all shocked, and then it's going to be like, oh, you wait a minute. You forgot that you sent him to jail, and it's like, and Tasha is the only one that sees this. Tasha's like, why is Kanan back? Why is Kanan around? Hello, think about it. But Ghost isn't really listening to Tasha right now, so that's gonna go by the wayside until it's too late.
And not to mention, Tommy flipped on Ghost with the org. Basically said if you're not in it, then don't come back. Tommy still had a hand in Tommy should want Kanan's fade because Kanan ran up in their spot and killed all those dudes when he stole the money. That's and then true. Went to go get to So there are a bunch of reasons why. But to your point, Shawn, watching later on in the episode and getting to that Ghost and Tariq confrontation, that was probably one of the most triggering things I've seen on Power. He's fixated on Dre's involvement. Because he even tells him when he speaks to Tariq, he said if he was like, it's not Kanan. He's like, Dre is the reason why Dre led Tariq in to go after, that ultimately led to him going after Jones, right? But so he's more fixated saying like, all right, I guess he felt like after the whole Jukebox situation happened when he saved them from Jukebox and that was it. Like they basically decided to go their separate ways. It was like, okay, you helped save my son. We're cleaning the slate, right? Mm-hmm. So I think in that regard, he kind of absolved Kanan from everything to that point. And I'm just trying to rationalize at this point. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just thinking from what I see. So at that point, it was like, okay, everything that happened, fuck it, we're good now. And then everything that happened afterwards was because Tariq went and started hitting licks with those dudes still after the fact, right or wrong? Or do I have my timeline crossed up?
One thing I might, before you answer, Shawn, one thing I might add, and this is maybe what, we kind of looked for, what isn't being seen or said is how Kanan's role in this whole thing, right? And I think Ghost is blind to that. So to your point, Jeff, the slate is clean or could be clean, right? Or maybe you want to be clean because it's convenient, right? I think there's a level of convenience that says, hey, if I can, get Kanan out of the mix, I can, because, Ghost is still on the path of trying to be clean, right? Still trying to be the club owner and get out the game, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he's trying to cancel out some debts, which might necessarily be canceled, right? So I think there's that dynamic too. But what stood out to me is it's really Kanan that's behind all this and should be blamed. And once that comes to light, I think that's where we're going to see how and that's in one of those, again, I'm big on the plot twist with the season, right? Something happens, there's a plot twist, something goes down, and we go in a different direction. I see like a lot of different points of those plot twists. This could be one of them. So as you kind of went through that, quick overview and kind of, recap of the summary there, and Shawn, let us know if you agree with that. That's just what pointed out to me, hey, this guy's kind of in the mix, right? And he's really kind of the reason. And although you want to absolve him of all issues and move on, kind of can't do that, right?
To play devil's advocate for Ghost, I will say this. If Ghost did have 9,000 things swirling around in his head, including the death of his daughter and dealing with Councilman Tate and trying to find Dre and dealing with his son, who's, is a fucking idiot. If he sat down, if he had like a day or two to sit there and think about this, he will probably figure out, wait a minute, Kanan is indirectly the reason why my daughter's dead. But because there's so much shit going on, he just fixed, like, Dre is the easy bait. It's the easy target. It's like, oh, it's because of Dre, because once he found out that Dre knew Kanan sounds like, ooh, like, it's like, okay, I know Kanan's a fuck up. I like what Kanan doing this to Dre, Kanan doing this to Tariq. I expect that from him because he's that type of dude. Dre was my man, who I pulled out of the damn hood and gave him position in my organization, and this is how
you repaid me. Yeah, this is how you repaid me.
I can understand,
mentor, protege, all that kind of stuff.
So I can understand why. I can understand why he's more focused on Dre. Because when Kanan stabs you in the back, you expect it because that's the type of dude Kanan is. When Dre stabs you in the back, it's like, that don't make no sense.
Right.
So that's a different level of hurt, right? A different level of pain, a different level of disappointment, really, that he's getting from Dre. And so to your point, it's maybe why there's a focus. But now let me ask you this, guys, and this is more a clarifying question. Does Tommy know the Dre and Kanan connection?
The Kanan and Drake. Yeah, they know. They know everything. Everybody knows, like, everything is on the table. And while y'all were talking, I was looking back at some of just to see what the timeline is. So around the time that the jukebox stuff happened and Kanan, like, after all of that stuff happened, you remember Kanan's peoples were doing their own thing with the robberies. So Raymond Jones was involved in that. So I think that's one of the reasons why we could get into the whole Ghost and Tariq thing when he finally confronted him. And to your point, Shawn, about the grief, I do think they've shown the grief, but they showed it last season. So after Raina got killed, when Tasha and Ghost were in the car, they showed it in little preview scenes. Mm-hmm. I think that they've shown it in different ways, but with them separate. Because they all have their own worries. So even when Tasha was talking about the pallbearers with Keisha and all of that, and then even when they were setting up the funeral, and you see the grief come out in a bunch of different ways. But to your point, they never really, other than that part where Ghost was screaming on Tasha in the car, they never really dealt with the grief. You know what I'm saying? They never really completely dealt with thought it was a great scene with Ghost and Tariq when he had, because Tasha, to that point, we didn't even realize. Tasha, to that point, didn't know the whole scope of what was going on from Tariq's end. Because remember, she was just trying to stop him from killing Jones. True. And that was what her focus was. So she didn't know everything. So Ghost made him spill all the beans about that night. Like, how come? How did you know? Why was this dude coming after you? How come Raina didn't tell? Because Raina tells Tasha everything. How come Raina didn't tell her anything? And, yo, my part was when he was like, yo, I ain't a kid. He was like, yes, you fucking are. And I was like, yo, finally. Yo, the theater I was in was like, yeah, like, finally somebody says it.
I thought he was going to stop him.
Listen, I'm going to tell you why that's triggering. If you're a guy and you grew up with your dad or any authoritative man figure, you've had a moment like that where you put the line in the sand and you were brought right to the other side of the line, right back to the side that you came from.
Absolutely.
Where, like, dude, I was fully expecting Ghost to cave Tariq's chest in. He like ran after him. It was a very dad run too. Like Tariq was doing the power walk and then he ran after him and caught him at the end and slapped him up on the wall, like telling him like, yo, he put it to him and it's the truth. And we all been saying it. Tariq is the reason why Raina got killed. Tariq is the reason. If Tariq doesn't go on those licks and he doesn't see what he saw and doesn't make it so that he has to be killed to be silenced, or he isn't being trusted to be quiet, Raina's still alive. Like, yo, Raina could have been at that damn school. She could have done all of the stuff that she wanted to do, but Tariq is the reason. And he presses him. I am mad. I don't advocate for child violence, but Tariq, y'all seen the meme I put up with dude that has the Uzi to Tariq's head on the screen?
Get the strap.
Get the strap, man. It's all, that's my mood. That is my mood all season. Like, this kid, man, this kid is a problem. And Ghost finally spoke for the audience, like, in that moment.
But what does Tariq have to do to get his ass kicked? And I think it's one of the issues that I have with the show. It's like, all right, like, how much longer are the writers going to let Tariq just do fuck shit and not really deal. I mean, granted, yes, his sister is dead, but the fact that he decided that it was a wise move to text Dre during the middle of the eulogy at his sister's funeral to say run lets me know that this dude doesn't really get it. It's like what has to happen for him to get for him to just get his, doesn't have to be literally, but like what has to happen for this line of destruction that Tariq is creating to end?
Well, it's his allegiances, Sean, right? So to your point, how to get his ass kicked? Well, it's his allegiances. You think he's aligned to his father, and you notice now that he isn't, right? He's aligned to Dre. At least that's where he is now. So if you're playing both sides, you don't, and you know we're grieving and we're upset and we're concerned, and you know we're trying to protect him, right? Because he technically did murder somebody, right? That's all. And then Tasha has a line that says, "Hey, I don't want to lose another kid," she goes, "I don't want to lose you, Ghost," right? But there's also that whole point about she doesn't want to lose any more kids, etc. So I feel like there's a lot that's giving him cover right now. But I would hope that at some point we realize that Tariq isn't on his family's side. He's going against his family. To me, that's where something has to give, right? Like he can't, what he did is unexcusable, and you can't let that go. And I hope that at some point in the season, you get that kind of confrontation. And I think you need to, right? Like at some point, Ghost has to confront Tariq, and something's going to happen, right? Someone might shoot somebody, someone might get hit, someone might run away, but something has to happen there. You can't let that one slide.
I'm talking less about the storyline and more about the decisions that the writers and Courtney Kemp and the producers are making. That is like, how much longer can Tariq keep doing this fuck shit? Like, there has to be, here's a quick tangent. I used to watch The Walking Dead.
Here we
I love The Walking Dead.
go. No, I'm saying here we go, because I know you're ready to fire up.
Okay. I used to watch The Walking Dead. I watched it. I watched season 1, season 2, season 3, whatever, right? I stopped watching The Walking Dead because I stopped watching after the first episode of last season, the episode where Negan bashes two people's heads in. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. And I was like, all right, I stopped watching that show because there's no end game. We wander through this place, we find a home, we set up a home, it looks like we're cool, there's some bad people, we fight the bad people, we kill the bad people, we move on, and then of course we're fighting zombies along the way. And after a while I was like, okay, this has to end. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I feel the same way with Tariq. Is like, how long are you going to let him just like destroy shit? Because there's no comeuppance for him. And I feel like the writers are like writing themselves into a corner, and instead of just taking the L and saying, you know what, Tariq's gonna do something stupid and get himself killed, it's like, no, he's gonna get bailed out and he's gonna do this more dumb shit. It's like, come on.
Now, I see him getting killed though. Like I'm sorry, I see him getting, something's gonna happen to him, man. Like you can't go against your family trying to do all these things for you. Something's gonna happen to him, right? And look, Tariq. So use your Walking Dead story. I kind of use this like the Scandal, to me, like Scandal, right? At some point, season 1, 2 of Scandal was all cool, and then at some point it just got really unrealistic. It goes off the rails, right? And then look, I'm a fan of Scandal. I was in the beginning. I was like, wait, this is way too crazy. Like, none of this is even plausible anymore, right? Like, even though it's not plausible, it's just far fetched. And so where my hope power doesn't go is you get these far-fetched, like, man, this doesn't even align to the behaviors of these characters. And now it's like, oh, to your point, hey, Tariq is going to keep running around doing this crazy stuff, and no one's going to check him. Like, I think he gets checked now. And the checking has to come from Ghost, and it won't come from Dre. And if it comes from Kanan's more of an enabler, right? So Ghost has to check him. And that's the scene I kind of want to see, because in that scene, something's going to happen, right? And I don't know. You can go to the extreme and say, "Hey, man, Ghost got to off his own kid and figure out how to do that." That's an extreme. Or Ghost does nothing, right? Well,
But
I'm just saying extremes.
he doesn't even look scared when he gets hemmed up against the wall. Like
He's a
He doesn't
badass
care.
kid.
He doesn't
He's a
care.
badass kid, Sean. And that's the only thing I will say is that one with the timeline, this has all happened within a certain amount of time. So yeah, we've seen it over episodes, but in terms of the actual timeline, these are just a couple of weeks.
True.
So I get it in that effect. Having said that, I agree with you that at some point something gotta happen to Tariq other than it happening to other characters and affecting.
Yes.
Like Ghost should have whooped his ass. Ghost should have whooped his ass. Like, I'm talking about whooped his ass and Tasha has to pull him off and tell him to get the fuck out the house type shit. Like that had to happen because, hey, we all were kids. We all did knucklehead stuff. And it did seem like at some point with your parents, enough was enough. And you got whatever punishment was deemed necessary for you. But there are also other kids who we've known throughout our lives. We probably all had those kids when we were growing up where they just did a lot of shit and they got a lot of rope. Where you like,
that's true.
For all the Caribbean people out there, if you're of Caribbean descent, if you're of African descent, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got one time, maybe.
Jeff, you talk about get the strap. That's called get the belt. Get the switch. Get the switch. Get the belt. Get the hanger. Get the extension cord.
Get the chancleta.
Bro,
you get something.
Bro, you maybe had one time. Maybe if you had nice parents, they gave you that one and you got punishment. Because I'm not from the timeout era, so I can't relate. Because timeout was kneeling in a corner holding bricks in your hand. You know what I'm saying? Like if you Haitian, if you know, you know what I'm saying? So like that's why, to your point, I agree with you on that, Sean. Something.
And you know something? If Ghost had whipped Tariq's ass like he deserved, and then Tariq went and decided to help Dre out, tell Dre that there's a hit coming from him, that would have made more sense to me. Because it's like, okay, because I honestly, listen, if I was 15 and my pops whooped my ass, and then I know there's somebody that my pops doesn't really like, that my pops about to get rid of, I might have done that dumb shit too. I might have. Because I got my ass whipped.
That's retaliation, though, right? I get the retaliation.
Exactly. But, like, the retaliation is, like, you mad because you mad at your pops because he figured out that you a fuckboy, like, that got it in over your head, fucking with the wrong crowd. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Well, let me just play something back and keep me honest here, Jeff. So, I think this still goes back to the level of respect Tariq has for Ghost and the lack of respect. And I think that lack of respect goes back to Ghost cheating on his mother and then leaving his mother for another woman and then trying to get his kids integrated with the other woman, right? Remember that whole weird dynamic where they go sleep at Angela's house and it's just awkward, right? So in my mind, I still think that there's a huge level of disrespect and for distrust and disrespect for Ghost. Because, you cheated on Ghost cheated on his mother, right? And left his mother and then try to get a whole new family started. And to me, that's a big part of why Tariq went to Canaan in the first place, right? And why Tariq endeared himself with Canaan, right? Even with Dre as well. And that's, to me, why the allegiance is where it is, right? So I don't think you necessarily needed, although I get your rationale, I don't think you needed that to happen. I think when I start thinking back and playing it back, it starts with, hey, where's my dad? Oh, my dad cheated my mom and my dad's leaving my mom and there's this new lady around, and I think that's all messed up, right? Because I've known this household to work a certain way and things happen and now they don't happen. And then Kanan jumps in and says, hey, your dad is a hustler. He's like, I didn't know that. My dad is a club owner, right? So now it's just lies upon lies upon lies upon lies from Tariq's perspective. And to me, that's where this distrust and disrespect and the allegiance comes from. And I don't think that changes. And that's why a part of why he's such a badass kid.
So here's the thing I will say to that. I can see the connections that you're making. Where I think this show falls short is they don't make the connections. They don't make the callbacks necessary to give him the impetus to break sides with his father and send that text. If that's what they want to tell. If that is the reason. So, for example, if it's to your point where Dre doesn't have a respect for his dad because all that stuff happened, that happened like 3 seasons ago, a couple of years showtime, right? So him running in and texting Dre, it looks like it's random. After everything that happened, it looks like it's random because we don't really have a tie back to those previous altercations between him and his dad over cheating on his mom. Now, what if he had made a snide comment during that Ghost and Tariq thing, like, yo, why should I even listen to you? You, what integrity you have? You cheated on mom, blah, 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 blah. There, now you have some sort of tie. Like, why should I ever listen to you? Why should I be loyal to you? Why should I be like you when you couldn't even do X, Y, Z? Now you have some type of tie. But once again, it's if that's the tie to him, they wanted to make. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure. So for me, the only thing I could think of is he still considers Dre somewhat of a friend and doesn't really blame him. And maybe he doesn't want to see any more death. And he doesn't want to be the blame. He doesn't want to be the blame for somebody else's murder because technically he would be able to be blamed for Dre's murder because he could have stopped it and he didn't. So,
and he also doesn't know that Dre killed Father Callahan and all these, and was basically like I call him Littlefinger because he's like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. Like he doesn't know the half of what Dre's been up to the entire time. So
right, not to mention Father Callahan, the best white dude that Tommy's ever known.
I laughed out loud during that line.
Oh man, that was real. That's why I said, well, you know, once it starts becoming like comedy, like when they start saying shit that you laugh at, that's how you know you really with the characters. Let's see what else. So let's talk about Dre. So Dre is a Bond villain now. Dre to me is like the new Bond. Yo, his come up because one of the biggest questions was how was Dre going to get out of all of this?
He's Littlefinger.
Now we didn't. One of the things that we didn't really, I think, accentuate and really put focus on was the Jimenez factor, where these are like legit hitmen. This is bigger. This is deeper than rap with the Jimenez, right? and he was keeping them away because he promised them they wouldn't have to get their hands dirty. So when he pulled the setup with Cristobal, like he realized everybody knows everything now. And they were able, and he's starting to slowly become what Ghost was in season 2. While Ghost is the most powerless person on this show now. He's no longer the Connect. He don't really got truth like that. He has Councilman Lorenz Tate on his ass on a community level. Imagine having somebody thugging you out for some community service and involvement, right? And basically turned his daughter's funeral into a photo op. Has him working with Dre on the community on the Queens community rebuilding thing that they're doing. So he can't even really shade him. Think about it like, if you're in an organization and you have members in your organization that you don't really mess with, but you don't want the outside to know like that, you got to put on a pretty face. He has to put on a pretty face for the dude who was one of the main dominoes in his whole life going to shit. And even when they put the hit out on him and they had a plan to capture him, that one text empowered him for him to go to the nuclear option. So now, and I'm going to tell you, that scene when he rolled up on Ghost at his daughter's funeral site, basically told him the Jimenez have been activated. If you come for me again, you're burying more people here. Gave this dude the Aranya card and said, yo, you take it easy. I was like, yo, Dre might be one of my favorite characters now. That was one of the illest things that I loved about that episode.
The Dre come up is a whole different podcast, man, because he's been so calculated and lucky and how he's been able to make these moves. But he's another guy where I think, he's making checks that he can't cash. and his time's gonna come up soon too. Just like we talked about other folks' time, like his time's gonna come up soon too, and it's only a matter of time until it's all gonna run out. But yeah, I mean, his come up is spectacular in this show.
What do you think, Sean?
All right. So as corny as this may sound, the esteemed philosopher Lil Wayne once said, "Real G's moving sounds like lasagna." And that's who Dre is. He's the classic example of that guy, of the person that you don't expect to make it to the top, that all of a sudden they're at the top and you have no idea how they got there, because he made friends with the right people. He kissed babies, he shook hands, he patted people on the back, he greased palms, he did what he had to do. Like Zane said, his come up is amazing. Like I do have a number of issues with this show. Dre getting to where he is not one of them, because, and I can say that the writers and producers did an excellent job of planting the seeds where you can see how Dre got to where he is. And that scene at the gravesite, at Raina's gravesite, is like it was the icing on the cake. It was like, yes, like Dre's like, I'm here now. Like, I'm that dude you have to deal with now.
He's the new Ghost.
Yeah.
He's the new Ghost.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. All right, let's run through a couple more things before we close out. Got a couple questions from the readers too. Tommy is still doing Tommy dumb shit. He's not listening. Yo, if it's one person who's been consistent, it's been Tommy throughout this whole season. I mean, this whole series. He don't listen, bro. His man, Teresi's right hand, Samuel.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll look it up for you.
But yeah, his right hand man, when he because Tommy did have a great idea. Like, yo, they're not gonna expect white dudes coming for Dre. So let me get the Italians. And he's thinking he thinks this is like Game of Thrones, that this is his birthright and he's inheriting a whole mafioso cartel. Because that was one of my main questions at the end of season 4. How does Tommy have the whole weight of that organization behind him, or are people gonna look at him like, like who are you? Like what's going on with that? But this dude, he was told, yo, leave the hitters alone. Like these dudes ain't really like who you want to mess with. As he goes to the new leader from his father's, and taking in place from his father, and he goes there and he's talking to Victor, and he makes a deal with Victor to be the new to sell his product and be the new Connect, but still makes that plan with those hitters to go get Dre. And let me say, that was an ill plan where Kanan used his people and Tommy used his people to try to get Dre. That should have worked. That should have worked if he didn't get tipped off. So I would say that was an ill plan on Tommy's part. But the fact that he got them dudes shot. I think one of them is dead. One of them I think is dead, but the other one was shot.
Yeah.
So
one of them is definitely alive.
Not only did he not go through the bosses before hiring those dudes, he got them injured, and those are like their hired guns. That's like you lending somebody your new car and they crash the shit without telling you that they were gonna drive it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like you see the keys on the stand, like, yo, I'm just gonna take it around the block. And that's when you get in an accident. That's what Tommy did to those hitters. So this season is going to be a lot of mea culpas, and we're going to see he might have a whole new problem on his hands that he don't need to have.
He might tear that whole Italian family apart, because homeboy said, like, you vouch for him? He's like, yeah, I vouch for him. So now once he finds out that Tommy did this, it's like, well, you vouch for him, so I'm going to fuck you up, and he's probably going to end up dead. And then Therese is going to find out that his man is dead.
Right.
And because of Tommy, but he's going to stick on Tommy's side. That might start a war with the white people.
His name is Sammy, and I think it's just funny how they're using names from like real life mobs.
Yeah.
Like Sammy. I'm like, yo, should we expect Sammy to turn on Tommy at some point, or turn on him and Teresi? It's funny. It's just funny with that. Proctor back in a role, helping them after Kanan and them went in and did the first botch hit on Dre, and they're still in contact with Proctor. Never forget, Proctor still has a laptop. Proctor still has that laptop. He's a dude trying to get his license and all that back. So I'm waiting to see how they pull him back into the life.
I'm telling you right now, Proctor's not surviving this season. That's my bold prediction. Like and honestly, it'll probably be Tommy who kills him. And I think it'll probably be because of the laptop. Like at some point,
the laptop is coming back.
Will arise, and Tom only knows one speed. So
right. It's always go. He's the dude when he sees the light turn yellow, he accelerates just like probably everybody in the world. But and you see, Tommy was like, family is everything, and we loyal. And then Proctor's like, all right, dog. I'm out though. So we're gonna see what happens with him. There was a lot of unintentional comedy in this episode. The part where when Tariq steps up to read the eulogy, and the dude, I think the pastor was like, "You must be so proud of your child," and they kind of look at each other like, "Do you know our child?
Do you know what we know? Because if you knew that, I don't know."
It's subtle how they do that. And I wonder if they were directed to do it like that or whatever have you. Like you could see they're affected by it. It was just like that was a laugh out loud moment. The other when the pastor, once again, he's giving the speech and he goes, Raina's death is no one's fault. And Ghost looks at Tariq. I fucking lost it, yo. Like I'm like, dog, y'all are really throwing in little unintentional comedy points just to see who sees it. Like that's just hilarious to me. And Ghost and Tasha are hiding a child. They are hiding this third child.
Oh, man, that's a huge to me. Child. A huge when is this third child going to show up, and how is this young lady going to be integrated? Because man, we've seen this child, I think 3 times in 5 seasons, baby.
I don't understand the I don't want to say obsession, but a lot of people are like, where's the third child? The third child. The third child is not integral. The same way how Tasha's mom, who lives with them, but you see her about once every 6 to 7 episodes. It's like, there's bigger fish to fry. I said earlier about how the writers are too busy writing themselves in the corners they can't write themselves out of. That third child is the least of the worries. It is funny though that she pops up from time to time.
Yo, that's it's like when you ask somebody, yo, how many brothers and sisters you have? And they say 3. You're like, yo, I only met 2. It's like, yeah, there's another one. She is the other one, bro. Her price must go up. She must be the most expensive child actor in Hollywood. Yo, we can only get her for 2.5 episodes, so you're gonna have to write around that. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to break the bank, but I don't know what to tell you.
Or they just forget about it. To Sean's point, there's so much other writing around loops and corners and connections that they just forgot about it. This is she fell off the board.
Right. All right, man. So that's it. That's it as far as our review portion. We got a couple of questions from the audience. First from Dami Woods 11. Good, thank you for your question. I'm calling it now. Ghost and Angela will definitely hook back up the season. They made it obvious when they had Tasha say Angela still loved him twice. Do you guys see them getting back together? So I'll start it off. What I'll say is, I think if they get back together, that's going to be the FU moment of the show.
So what do you get back together? Do you mean hook up or start dating again? Because they're definitely going to hook up again. That's fait accompli.
If they have another relationship, nah.
And that's going to be jumping the that'll be jumping the shark if you ask me. But
I know if they have it's going to split the fan base if they hook up again.
Mm-hmm.
If they have sex again, it's going to. But that might be what they want to turn the timelines up.
Timelines will be lit that day.
But then to our points around things that don't make sense, the implausible happening. Yeah, you could have them sleep together again. I just don't see I don't see a reason to do that. Unless you just got stuff to run out of. That to me is break the glass and pull out the storyline because we have no other cool things to have people do. So for me, I don't see it happening. But, if there's nothing else and that's the plot twist, then that it is what it is and we just got to go with it.
We discussed that on on the Power Season 5 preview show on 5 Questions, shameless plug, that was one of the questions that I had posed, and I said that, and I think even for us, it was split. It was half of us thought that they would not hook up again, half of us thought that they would. Like, they are absolutely going to have sex again this season. Because honestly, listen, Ghost marriage is basically finished. It's a business proposition at this point, and once the business dwindles to next to nothing, boom.
Yeah, I mean, it's more plausible than you think, but than I think probably. But they have to do it right, because in the midst of all of this going on, if they just it has to have a purpose. So if I was a betting man, and recording this live from Vegas, I would you take that for what you want. But if there were odds, I would put the money on. If it was like it was an underdog odds, I definitely put money on it. So I have them. That's easy money.
I have them at minus 200 hooking up again.
Oh yeah. You gotta bet that. You gotta put 100 on that. You gotta take the dog. You gotta take the dog on that one. All right. So
I'm in the minority. Y'all betting on black. I'm betting on red.
Oh yeah. Oh word. You gonna bet? You taking the under?
Yeah.
Them not hooking up is probably plus 500. It's probably like 4 or 5. It's like 4 to 1 or 5 to 1 odds. And if you don't know what those odds are, hit me on the side. I'll give you my Twitter afterwards. I'll explain this whole shit to you. Keep going, Jeff.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, we got an email question. Thank you so much for that email question, Miss Anonymous 345. Let's get right down to the brass tacks. Who do y'all think is dead this season?
I already said Proctor's a dead man.
One character that you gonna guarantee.
Proctor.
Yes. Okay, I can see that. What about you, Zane?
Dre.
You know what? I was gonna say Dre. I was gonna say Dre before the season because I didn't see a path for him to get out of season 5. But now that he's with the Jimenez, I think he makes it to season 6. The only reason why I would put money on Proctor, but they really trying to kill Jerry Ferrara off and not get a full, get that 6th season out of him. I don't know. But somebody got to go. And I think there's been a streak of people who have appeared on the Power poster that have died. There's like a streak. There's a streak going on where it's like the Madden cover streak, but it's for Power posters where everybody, because season 2, which is my favorite season of Power. Shawn was on that. I think season 3, Holly was on it. I can't remember season 4. I'm gonna look up the posters because I swear there's people that's been on the posters that haven't made it out. So when I look at the Power season 5 promo poster, like the one with all of them, it's Angela, Tommy, Ghost, Kanan, Dre, and I was about to say Tariq, Tasha. That's the big one with everybody on it. So if I had to guess, if the streak remains, it's Dre.
So
if the streak remains, it's Dre.
The problem with that theory is that you know who was on the season 4 poster?
Who?
Ghost. That's it. That's the list.
Wait, the season 4 was just him behind bars, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. They didn't do a compilation. All right, so I'm gonna have to caveat it. All the compilation posters. That's because I was nice. I thought it was a curse, bro. I thought it was a curse. The Power season, the one with when Shawn died, I was like, oh shoot, they really going there. But
can I throw out a hot take for a dark horse candidate to die this season?
Go ahead.
Tommy. And it's a bit of a hot take, but at some point, Tommy's recklessness is going to catch up to him. And I listen, once they killed Raina, nothing was off the table for me. So
right.
That's just, I can see a path where Tommy ends up dead because of fuck up Teresi. Right.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll say this. For my pick, I'll say Chris. That might be easy, but I could see a situation where they don't get the trade, but they get Cristobal. So
Hmm.
I'll say him. What I'll say about Tommy is I think he makes it out this season, but I don't think he makes it out of the series.
That's fair. Yeah,
I think when the series goes, I don't think Tommy makes it out of the series.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's it. That's it. For the reader questions. If you want to send in anything, hit us up at Nonstop Culture. Hit us up. You can also hit us up, contact at fanbros.com. Along with the Nonstop Culture feed, we will be simulcasting on the FanBros Show feed. So all of our listeners that are FanBros as well, from FanBros, that you hear me over there. If you are a Power fan, you're going to get power in 2 places. So that's double the power. And be sure to hit us up on, and you can hit me on Twitter at Jeff J Says. We're going to have all the questions every week. We'll answer your questions live on the air. So Shawn, Zane, y'all did it, bro.
Glad we made it.
Did it.
Lots of fun.
I appreciate it.
Pop your cherry. Pop your podcast cherry with me, man.
Listen, man. Anytime you need someone to come off the bench, come in, hit a couple corner threes, play some D. You come holler at me. I'm here for you.
You the 3 and D? You the 3 and D off the bench?
D. Yes.
You Trevor Ariza right now?
I'm Trevor Ariza. 14 million. Thank you.
Oh man, but we gonna keep. I'm gonna have to bring group chat on more and put you guys in rotation here and there because we gotta bring the takes over to the podcast, and this is just how we do. Like I said, it's better late than never. Thank you guys for joining me, and thank you for listening. So you can catch us on Nonstop Culture at Nonstop Culture on all social media. I'm on Twitter at Jeff J Says. Shawn, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Shawn with a W _. The underscore is very important. Same thing for Instagram. And like Jeff said, I'm the CEO, I guess, of 718, the home of the 5 Questions podcast, where we discuss sports and pop culture. So you can follow that on Twitter at 718, the word 7, the word 18 _. And same thing for Instagram at 718 _.
Bro, you got have to find names where you don't got the underscores. You have to get that cloud out so that.
Listen. I'm trying to work some things out. I'm in talks with Twitter and Instagram. There's some paperwork I gotta put together, but don't worry. We can get. Hopefully by the end of this year, there'll be no more underscore.
Bang bang. That's what I hear. Zane, which burner account you want to give them so that they can
I'm gonna give them a lot of underscores actually, and I'm not even being funny about that. So the account we can use is underscore ZAW underscore is where I could be found to have these kind of conversations. I do appreciate it, Jeff, man. It's been a fun experience. Definitely have listened to this in the past, so happy to be one of the very fortunate few to be able to participate. We'd love to do this more in the future, especially as we come to some of these critical moments and these plot twists that I'm predicting. Kind of want to be able to come back and get a couple minutes to shine on my accomplishments when my predictions come true. But I do appreciate it, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And once again, like I said, you can follow us over at FanBros Show, at FanBros Show, at Nonstop Culture, at Jeff J Says on all social media. Power After Hours, your favorite Power podcast. We're here each and every week to recap and tell what we feel about one of our favorite shows, Power, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So make sure that you subscribe everywhere where you listen to podcasts, where your ears can pick up digital signal. We'll be right there. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.